So I've been playing Forza Horizon 6 for about a week now, and I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions about the game. So I'm going to do a review on it. Now, before I get into my thoughts and opinions of the game, I just want to say there's a lot of new features and customization options and events and just a whole bunch of other things in general that are new to the game. So with that said, I will only be talking about my experience with the game as it pertains to me. Okay, so before anybody says, oh, you didn't talk about the window decals or how you can change individual wheels between the front and the rear, or come on, man, you're really not going to talk about Toge in Forza Horizon 6? No, I will not be talking about that sort of thing because, quite frankly, those aren't really things that have been relevant to my experience of the game. And plus, a lot of these new features, everybody has already been familiar with, or everybody already is aware of these features. As you know, these are the features that got people excited about the game in the first place. So I don't really see a reason for me to go over those sort of features. I think everybody already knows those sort of things. So I will only be speaking about this game as it pertains to me. So then, Forza Horizon 6, how has it been? How has my experience been playing this game, within the first week? To be honest, I am quite pleased, okay? Especially considering this game doesn't even have King, which is the whole reason why I fell in love with the Forza Horizon franchise to begin with, right? And yeah, there's no King or any playground game modes in that, for that matter, and that is kind of disappointing. But even despite that, I have been really enjoying this game. I'll talk a little bit more about King and playground games and that sort of thing a little bit later on. But my favorite thing to do in this game by far is spec racing. And if you aren't familiar, spec races are online races where everybody gets put into the same bone stock car, no upgrades, no tuning, and it is just you and your driving ability. All right, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love the concept of every player being on the same level of playing field, and it sort of takes away from having to know what cars are meta or knowing the nitty-gritty aspects of tuning in Forza, or just really basically anything else outside of just your pure driving ability. And to me, it's so much more rewarding when you win a race in identical cars as everybody. But also, even when you do lose, it is much easier to respect other drivers because at least they didn't win because of some broken, overpowered meta car or some, crazy tactic or strat that is some sort of tactic that just some broken meta, right? And so it's not because of something like that, because everybody's in the same car, and that's amazing. And or at least right now anyway, while the game is still fresh and new, a lot of players don't know the tracks or the routes. Okay, and I'm gonna be real with you guys for a second. That exposes a lot of you fast players. Okay, a lot of these fast players that rely on having a good car or a car that has a really good tune, or because they have memorized the track or that sort of thing, right? It kind of exposes them a little bit because now with new players or with the new game, where people don't know the tracks, or people, well, in spec racing, there is no different cars, obviously. So with people not knowing the tracks and that sort of thing, it just comes down to you and your driving ability. And it just makes it that much more refreshing and exciting to play, at least for me. Now, that specific aspect of people not knowing the tracks may only last for a few more weeks or something like that, with the game's release. So I don't expect that to last too long, but still, overall, spec racing has been an absolute peach, and it is by far my favorite thing to do in the game. Another thing that I love on this game is drag racing, and once again, I am very pleased with the way they did drag racing. Now, there's drag racing in Rivals as well. We'll talk more about that later, but I'm specifically talking about the online free roam drag racing. Okay? The fact that you're able to, go up to any drag race and then, it locks you in to the grid and, you just initiate a drag race seamlessly. A real drag race, you know what I'm saying? Not like in Forza Horizon 4 where the lights are synced but people can jump or whatever. A real drag race where it will tell you whether or not you jumped the light or not. And also, at the end of the race, it will tell you your ET, your elapsed time, the time that you got on your run, right? That's pretty awesome because that completely throws away all these allegations of, oh, you jumped the light, or, oh, I was ahead on my screen, all that sort of thing. Because if you jump the light, your time isn't going to count. And at the end of the run, you will see who got the better time, right? So that completely negates all of those allegations, and I absolutely love it. But my favorite thing about drag racing in free roam is the fact that you can launch your car however you want. Okay, once you lock into the grid, you are able to launch your car however you want. So you can do a 2K launch, you can do a boosted launch, you can do a full RPM drop. If your car has like 1,000,000 horsepower and it's like, yeah, I want to start in 4th gear, go ahead. You are allowed to do that. And I know that that doesn't sound too crazy. It sounds like a fairly normal feature or whatever, but because it's something that should have been in the game, now that it's finally here, of course I'm going to be glazing it. And number 2 with that, the reason why I am so excited about that, or why I love that feature so much, that the fact that you can launch however you want so much, is because I was legitimately worried that the only way you were able to launch your car was through launch control. The launch control feature that they added in Horizon 5, the LC assist or whatever you want to call it, right? I was genuinely worried that that was going to be the only way you are allowed to launch your car. But that's not the case. Like I said, you can launch it however you want. So if you tuned the car a certain way, or if you made it launch a certain way and that sort of thing, you will be able to launch it that way. And that's perfect. That's amazing. So Forza, thank you so much for allowing us to do that. So yeah, spec racing and drag racing, absolutely fantastic. But you might be asking, what about other aspects of the game? I'm going to be honest with y'all. Those 2 things I just said, spec racing and drag racing, are my 2 primary things that I do on this game at the moment. I haven't really touched any other game modes. I'm not really interested in doing hide and seek or eliminator and that sort of thing. So I'm not really going to comment on those types of things. And like I said, I can already hear some of you guys going, come on, man, like, no toge, you're not even doing I'm going to get to, I will eventually dabble in toge and that sort of thing. But as of right now, I've been loving spec racing and drag racing. But what I do, or what I can comment on, is the other great features about the game that I do like, that I do enjoy, that may not be too crazy or whatever, right? Just small other things that I like. The driving roads, fantastic. There are so many twisty roads and roads with elevation changes and that sort of thing, where you can drift, do toge, whatever you want to do. Just spirited driving for that sort of thing, it is fantastic. And also the map is massive. Okay, they took everything that they knew about maps and terrains and that sort of thing from the previous games and just sort of shoved it all into this one game. They have all sorts of different, do we call them biomes? They have snowy areas, and sort of more tropical areas and mountainous regions, that sort of thing. They have everything in this game, and they basically just took all of the what used to be a one-off feature in previous games, and it's all here. So the roads are amazing, the maps are amazing, and the entire map just has everything you want. You know what I'm saying? It's got highways, asphalt, dirt, snow, drag strips, tunnels, mountain passes, a bunch of photo opportunity scenery, if you want to call it like that, city streets, basically anything you can imagine or anything that you could ask for in a Forza game that people have been wanting, it's there. So I pretty much have no complaints. And also, a lot of people are saying the roads are too big or something like that. I'm calling BS on that, okay? If the roads were any smaller, I guarantee you the majority of the player base would be complaining about how hard it is to drive without crashing. I promise you, okay? Not everybody is as good of a driver as they think they are. If there was a whole bunch more traffic and the roads were way more narrow, like how everybody's complaining about, then they would be the same players that are complaining about, oh, it's so hard to get around, it's so hard to drive without crashing because the roads are too small and that sort of thing. I promise you that is going to be what would happen if the roads were smaller. So the roads, I think they are completely fine. I think the map is amazing. Driving around, exploring is fantastic. Another thing that I really like, the soundtrack. All right, I've actually listened to the radio stations in the game, and I was quite pleasantly surprised to find some music that I actually listened to myself in the game. And to be honest, if a game has a song or like even just one song that I listen to, that I genuinely listen to, then I give it a pass. Now that may not be saying much, but as a person who has a pretty not specific, but a pretty all over the place music taste, that is good enough for me. Like that's pretty good to have music that I actually listen to on the game. Now the example I'm gonna give, the Dracula song by Tame Impala. Okay, yes, it's a TikTok song, whatever, I understand, but that was a song that I actually did like and added to my music before this game even came out. Before this game, I think they even announced like a soundtrack list or whatever before all of that, right? And I actually liked that song, and then it's in the game, so that's amazing, right? So finding music that I actually listen to in the game, amazing. So all of that together, the music, the roads, the map, all that sort of thing, the scenery, everything all put together, the presentation of it all, absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. All right, so I love all of those things, but there are some complaints I have as well. I have about 2 or 3 pretty major ones, and then I have like a couple of miscellaneous ones. So the first big problem that I have already is cheaters on leaderboards. Okay, the game's been out for only a week and there are already cheaters on the leaderboard. All right, is there really a way to prevent cheaters? I'm not sure. Like, I'm not an expert in this sort of thing, so I can't really say if that's preventable. But I mean, for example, there was a time in the pre-release period of the game where I had the #1 fastest time on the festival drag strip in our class. But on the leaderboard, I was like 11th or 12th because the cheaters have gotten some impossible times on the leaderboard. But it would have been super cool if I was able to take a screenshot or a picture or something like that of me being the fastest. Because, once again, I understand it may not be impressive or whatever, and yes, that record's been broken and that sort of thing. But either way, at that moment in time, specifically, I was the fastest player in the world, and that picture or that screenshot would have been pretty awesome for whatever it's worth, right? But because of the cheaters that are already in the game, I wasn't able to really get that. I mean, I still got a picture or whatever, but like it doesn't say first, right? It says like 12th or whatever. So that's kind of annoying. So I wish they would be able to do something about the cheaters already. I mean, you can't really control what players do, but either way, it's still fairly annoying. And as a player who likes to chase leaderboard times, not just in drag racing, but in other events and that sort of thing, I would like to see leaderboards that are clean and legitimate without cheaters, so that me, as well as many other players, they can see where they rank or where they stand amongst everybody else on a leaderboard that is clean and not tainted by cheaters. So that would be really awesome to see. Now, I will give Playground Games the benefit of the doubt, because there are some cheated times that are hard to tell. Okay, I imagine it's going to be even harder to tell on showcase events and these sort of things where everybody's in the same car and that sort of thing. But in drag racing, it is a little bit easier to tell, because there are some cheated times that are not the fastest. If that makes sense, they're not the fastest times. They're still within the top times, but you can still tell that they're a cheated time. So it's not just a case of removing all the impossible times on the leaderboard, because there are still cheated times within the realm of what's possible that are just not as fast as the top times. And those are the sort of things that, if we're talking about drag racing specifically, that only if you drag race you would be able to know what car is capable of what, or you would know the realm of what's possible, so that you can tell whether this person is cheating or not. And I find it very hard to believe that the devs would be able to tell who has a cheated time and who doesn't, because these sort of things, you have to have been playing this game for a long time and be really doing this thing for a while to know these sort of things. So do I expect Player Games to be able to do something about it? I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is, now I'm not familiar with whatever cheating software that they use, but I hear the term AIO going around a lot. And so something like that, or whatever cheating software that they're using, if there's a way for Forza to be able to disable these cheating software things while the game is running, kind of like how Rocket League has been doing with Bacchus mod and that sort of thing. If there's a way to do something like that, I feel like that could potentially prevent some of these cheated times on the leaderboard. But once again, I am not an expert, and I don't really know anything about how that would go, so I can't really comment on that or give advice on that sort of thing. But either way, this game has only been out for a week, and the leaderboards have already been infiltrated by cheaters. And so I would like to see a clean and legitimate leaderboard. That would be good. Now, my second gripe with the game is that I've experienced a lot of game crashing on the PC. And I'm not really sure if that's something that was on my side, which, it could be. And I'm sure this could be fixed with a future update or whatever. But during the week of my time playing this game, the game's probably crashed about 5, 6, maybe even more times than that within my time playing. And so after a couple of days, I switched over to play on my Xbox Series X, and it crashed on there too. Right now, it only crashed once on there, and after that one instance of it crashing, I haven't had another crashing incident on the Xbox Series X. But I have gotten more crashing on the PC. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence, or if that's just something that is, related to my PC specifically, or something that they can fix with an update. But I have experienced a lot of game crashing. So that's kind of a gripe that I have with this game. I mean, if it's crashing on the PC and on the Xbox, I feel like it was worth mentioning. But once again, I feel like that's something that can be fixed with a future update. So hopefully the game will be fixed in the future regarding that. Now, this third thing that I have, I'm not even sure what to call it, but I'm just going to call it hitboxes. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a clip of this when it was happening, so I'm kind of disappointed. If I manage to find a clip, I'll throw it in the background or something like that. But there have been multiple instances where the finish of a race would be very close, but I would be slightly ahead, but it would show the other person ahead, or the leaderboard at the end would show the other person finished ahead of me. And now you might be thinking, oh, but that's been in the games, and that's been a thing since Horizon 5, 4, and 3, and older games and that sort of thing. Yes, that is true, but there was one particular instance where when I crossed the line, the guy behind me was drafting directly behind me. I don't mean like to the side where I'm like, we're neck and neck and I'm like half a car ahead or whatever. No, nothing like that. His car was directly behind my car as we crossed the finish line, and it said that person got first place. And even after the race, that person messaged me, and he was like, I don't know how I got first place because you were ahead of me. They messaged me saying they didn't know how they got first place, even though they were behind me. So I don't know what the issue is with that one. I don't know if it's like a hitbox thing or whatever, because generally with hitboxes it's different on two people's screens, but me and that guy saw the same exact thing, but the game gave that guy the win instead of me, right? So whatever that issue is, I'm not really sure what the problem is with that, but that's very annoying. And also, there have been multiple photo finishes where it looks like you and the other player finish within thousandths of seconds, at the end of the race, but it would be off by like over half a second, or it would be like 2/10 or 3/10, right? And now that may not seem like much, but if you have played Forza for a long time, you can kind of tell, you can sort of feel how close a race is, or you can kind of tell what the end result is going to be like, and you can expect, can have a pretty realistic expectation of what the times are going to look like, and they're just not matching. The gaps between the times are just too big for how close the racing seems to be. And it's not a discrepancy between two players. The two players see the same thing, but the leaderboard is saying something completely different, right? And so even though the two players are seeing the same exact thing, that's the leaderboard is saying something else. So once again, I don't know what the problem with that is. Maybe it's a server thing. I'm not so sure. And this may be a hot take here, but if the problem with hitboxes, or if this problem is a hitbox problem, I want to say I'm almost glad that there's no playground games or anything like that if hitboxes are going to be that bad. Because I don't know about you guys, but if there is going to be king in the game, I would like it for it to be good. And if the hitboxes are going to be that crazy, or if there's going to be that big of discrepancies when playing king, then I almost would rather not have it. Now, that could be either a valid reason, or it could be a massive copium take, okay? I'm going to leave that one up to you guys, but I kind of relate this to back when I had insanely slow internet where web pages wouldn't even load. And it's like, if I can't do anything with this internet, I would rather not have internet, because it's like, why am I, why do I have this internet that's not even going to load web pages, right? I mean, this is years ago, but I'm just saying, I'm just comparing this scenario where it's like, I would rather not have something at all rather than have like a terrible version of that thing, if that makes sense. Once again, could be a good take, could be a bad take. I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. But if that's going to be how it is, it might be a good thing that playground games aren't in the game. But anyway, moving on, those three things are the biggest gripes that I have with the game. But I have a couple of other tiny ones, so I'll breeze through the next ones. They're not really game breaking stuff. They're just kind of complaints, right? So the first thing is the garage customization. Now, I do like the garage customization. It's great, but I do wish you were able to remove the lights off of the stock garage. As you can probably see in the background, they're hanging down from the ceiling, and you know, it's just stuck like that. You're kind of stuck with those lights. You can't really remove it. And because I wanted different ceiling lights, in order for me to put the lights that I wanted on there, I had to manually lower the ceiling of the stock garage with other props and put my lights there. And you might be thinking, well, there you go, you just solved the issue. That is true, but the ceiling of the garage is now much lower, and aesthetically, I would want something that is as tall as the stock garage. So I don't want to say quality, but the presence or the essence of the garage kind of takes a hit because of the lowered ceiling that I have. Once again, just a small complaint, not really anything game breaking, but it would be cool if I was able to remove all those parts, or at least the lights at the top, so that I can put in the lights that I want while having a tall ceiling. And my next thing is, what happened to Event Lab rules? Did we just get rid of them or something? That was probably the best thing, the best feature about Forza Horizon 5 is Event Lab with rules and that sort of thing. Where did all that go? Because Event Lab now is just like custom routes with props, and you can customize like how many laps it is and that sort of thing, but there's no more rules. There's no, you know, if then statements, basically. You guys know how Event Lab was in FH5. Where did that go? Did they just take that out? Is that going to be something that they add in the future? Maybe, potentially, right? But right now, it's not in the game. So why did they take that out? Bring that back, please and thank you. And the next thing is sort of like an audio glitch. And once again, this might not even be worth mentioning, but there will be times where I would come out of an event and there will be a song playing, and I'm like, oh, I like this song, what's the name of this song? So I would cycle through the radio stations and go back to that station so that it would pop up with the name of the song, and then it would be a completely different song. It would be in the middle of a completely different song. And before you guys say, oh, but it could be like, it could have switched songs in between the time that I was switching through radio stations, it takes like 2 seconds to swap through, to go through the radio stations in the game. And by the time I got back to that radio station, it is a completely new song. It is in the middle of a completely different song. And is that a big deal? No, not really. I can go in, go online and, you know, type in Forza Horizon 6 soundtrack, and I'll be able to find it. Sure, no problem. But it is just something that I noticed, and so I'm just going to throw it into the complaint here. Something that probably not many people notice, but that's something that I did notice, so I'm just mentioning it here. And I guess these last two things, I can kind of lump it together. Where did the weight ballasts go from Forza Motorsport? You know what I'm saying? Especially now in this game, where it has the mechanical balance and aero balance readings or stats on the game. It would be super cool to be able to add weight to balance out the weight of the car, like you can in Forza Motorsport. That was a feature that I thought they were gonna bring over, but they didn't. So that's kind of disappointing. I wish they brought that in. And the other thing is the power to weight ratio. Now, I know the power to weight ratio figure or stat is in the game, and you can see it whenever you're upgrading cars and that sort of thing. But why is it not on the car select menu? Whenever you toggle through the stats and it shows the horsepower and torque and weight, I feel like the power to weight ratio belongs on that page. Is that just me? If I'm picking through some cars and I'm like, oh, let me just pick a car that has a better power to weight ratio, I won't be able to tell unless I do like really quick math in my head, right? I wouldn't be able to tell without that figure unless I go back into my garage and see what the power to weight ratio figure says. So that's something that I wish that was on the car select page. Hopefully they can add that into, or add that into the game in the future. But once again, not really anything game breaking, just a small little complaint that I have with that. But it would be super cool if they were able to do that. But yeah, that basically covers all of my complaints and gripes about the game. Once again, the biggest three complaints that I have is the cheaters and the game crashing and the hitboxes. The cheaters, they said they were going to do something about it. They were going to remove cheaters, so hopefully they will do something about that. The game crashing, I'm sure future updates will fix that issue. And the hitbox thing, I'm not sure if that's something they can fix or not, but if they are going to bring back playground games to any capacity in the future, I would like that issue fixed before they bring back playground games, because if it's gonna have issues like that, then it's not gonna be that enjoyable. But with that said, though, outside of those complaints that I have, this game has been absolutely fantastic. Once again, the spec racing is phenomenal. I love just being able to go in, queue into a race, boom, everybody's in the same car. It's everybody on the same track, obviously, and it's just you and your driving ability. It's really fun. That, and of course, the drag racing feature, the free roam drag racing, absolutely love it. The fact that you can launch it however you want, the fact that it shows your time on there, and the fact that, it shows if you jump the light or not, amazing. That's fantastic. And I also do like the idea of a free roam leaderboard that they have. I do like that idea, but once again, that's full of cheaters too. So if they got rid of cheaters, that would be even better. But yeah, my overall experience with this game has been, like I said, phenomenal. This game has been really refreshing. It's a game that, this is the first game in a while that has made me really excited to actually get on the game. Whenever I think about getting on the game, I'm thinking about, what do I want to do next? You know what I'm saying? What sort of things am I going to chase? Leaderboard times. Am I going to do drag racing? Am I going to do spec racing? There's just a lot this game has to offer that I actually enjoy, and it makes me excited to get on the game. Once again, that could be a side effect of it being a brand new game, but whatever it is, it's working. And if I'm being honest, I am kind of in love with this game. It is great. And I don't have to mention the great graphics or how good the game sounds and that sort of thing, because everybody can see and experience that. So all of that is great. And of course, it's a Forza game, so if you've been liking the Forza franchises or Forza Horizon franchise, you will like this game as well, because it is a Forza game through and through. But yeah, this game has been fantastic. My overall experience, at least within the first week of the game, has been amazing. I do know that the festival playlist is going to be coming back, soon. And I kind of don't like the idea of a festival playlist, because it's like if you're not on within that specific period of time, you may miss out on cars. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they said they were going to find a way to fix that, or try to help remediate that, I guess, or whatever, by being able to go back and do those challenges. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but if that's the case, that would be amazing. But that's something that only time will tell. This, like I said, this game's only been out for a week, so can't even say anything about stuff that's gonna come in the future. So we will just have to see about that. But once again, not to sound like a broken record, but that has been my experience with Forza Horizon 6 so far. Absolutely love the game. Do you guys have any complaints or gripes that I missed out, that I, didn't cover? Let me know. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments, and I will reply to all of them if you do decide to comment. And yeah, we can talk about it. But with that being said, that has been my review, my comprehensive experience of this game a week into the release of Forza Horizon 6. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.